Hello, I'm Lara Kulcharsan and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. International diplomats are pushing US President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza. The plan cuts Hamas from any role and instead puts the enclave under a so-called Board of Peace, chaired by none other than Trump himself. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair is also tipped to play a big role, though exactly what that means isn't clear yet. The plan was introduced just days after Israel's allies, France, UK and others, formally recognized Palestinian statehood. Critics say the new peace plan reeks of colonial-era policies.
Captain America and King Colonizer to the rescue.
What do you think this Board of Peace is? It's chaired by Trump and the UK.
Same empire, different century.
There's no doubt we want a ceasefire.
The humanitarian crisis needs to come to an end.
Let's not forget the world's been calling for a ceasefire for years, and the US has vetoed every single one. Why would any Palestinian trust the United States? They're the main weapons supplier to Israel. They've vetoed every UN ceasefire resolution, and they're deeply aligned with Netanyahu politically. Sign away your right to self-determination for colonial trusteeship. And if you don't, we're going to allow collective punishment to continue, because our power trumps your freedom.
I mean, they're not even hiding their white colonialism. It's 2025. And Tony Blair, who's the Labour Party, he's supposed to be liberal. This guy wants to be a blatant white colonialist? This is disgusting. I am absolutely appalled right now. The world is not going to accept this. The only people that should be governing Palestine are Palestinians, period.
As Washington talks about peace, Israel's actions in Gaza tell a different story. Bombs continue to drop from the sky, hitting civilian homes and a school. Dozens of Palestinians were killed. Among them was a Palestinian photographer and TRT World journalist.
TRT World's freelance journalist Yahya Barzak was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Deir al-Balah, central Gaza on September 30. Barzak was on assignment, documenting the war's impact on civilians when an Israeli strike hit a cafe where he was reported to upload footage. He lost his life doing what he has long been doing best, telling the world the truth from Gaza. Yahya Barzak is one of at least 250 journalists and media workers killed by Israel in Palestine's Gaza since October 7, 2023, making this war one of the deadliest for the press in modern history.
More than 65,000 Palestinians have been killed in 2 years of war. Whole neighborhoods in Gaza have been flattened, and Israel continues to block food and strike makeshift shelters. With starvation, desperation, and disease rife, international activists carrying humanitarian aid are sailing towards the enclave to break Israel's blockade. But their flotilla of more than 40 vessels hasn't had an easy journey. They've been intercepted and has communication links disrupted. Newsfeed spoke to one of the activists from the Global Summit Flotilla.
I'm here because our governments do nothing to stop the genocide. I'm here because I cannot stand and do nothing while children, women, men, civilians are being killed by the thousands. I think only humanity can save humanity. In this mission, the role of social media is really important. The way to pressure our governments is to mobilize people, and the way to mobilize people in our days is through social media. So we have a lot of people with huge platforms and some other with smaller platforms, but very, very influent in their countries. We had training on non-violence, and we also had meetings where the steering committee spoke to us about the missions before this one. But I think the most important thing is that we had a lot of training on non-violence, because that's what we are. I would say, help us. Pressure your governments. Make them help us open a humanitarian corridor to bring aid to Gaza. Gaza has been under blockage for a very long time. Very, very long time. They need everything. We don't want just to deliver the aid we have in our boats. We want to leave the humanitarian corridor open. So, yeah, help us. Pressure your governments. We can do it. Together we're stronger.
The spirit of protest is spreading across the globe, and it's Gen Z leading the charge. From Asia to Africa to Latin America, young people are hitting the streets, demanding change from governments who have failed them. It started with unrest in Bangladesh and Nepal. Then came Kenya, where leaderless demonstrations, fueled by social media, took hold. Now, fresh protests are breaking out in Peru, Morocco, and Madagascar, showing just how much Gen Z is shaping the politics of tomorrow. In Peru, young people are voicing anger at President Dina Boluarte's government. In Madagascar, the president dissolved parliament after outrage over water and power cuts. And in Morocco, youth are denouncing what they call misplaced priorities.
The government is basically attacking people for asking for basic rights. Originally, the protest started peacefully. However, things escalated when the government started tear gassing and using live ammunition. And they actually were triggered because the government shuts off water and electricity for days at a time. The organizers of the protest even sought out the proper permits ahead of time. However, the officials denied the permits. Actually, after denying the permit, the government designated red zones across the city and authorized the use of force, such as shooting against individuals who entered those zones. But recently, the president just dissolved his government and basically confirmed that the government has been failing its people.
Many Moroccans have taken to the streets to protest the usage of government funds towards sporting events, like the hosting of the FIFA games in 2030, instead of investing in education and healthcare. The disadvantaged hospital where I did work last May has had problems since the 1960s. My father actually rotated there when he was a medical resident, and it seems unfortunately that not much has been invested in this hospital system, even though it serves as the regional hospital in Agadir.
A Chinese national has been convicted in the UK for the world's single largest cryptocurrency seizure. Jimin Chen pleaded guilty after police found wallets holding 61,000 bitcoins, worth about $7 billion, hidden in her home in London.
There are two main characters, Jimin Qian and Jian Wen. Between 2014 and 2017, Qian is alleged to have been involved in a multi-billion-dollar investment scam in China. However, in 2017, she converted some of the proceeds into Bitcoin and then fled from China to the UK under a false identity. How that Bitcoin then ended up getting seized by UK authorities is frankly wild. Enter Jian Wen, who was living above and working at a Chinese takeaway before meeting Qian. Wen is then said to have become involved in money laundering for Qian and in exorbitant fashion. Wen, presumably on Qian's behalf, started trying to buy luxury items and now somewhat infamously, a mansion directly with the Bitcoin. The property was a 7-bedroom house with a swimming pool in London's affluent suburb of Hampstead, and it was priced at around £23 million. Unsurprisingly, the sale didn't go through because Wen couldn't explain the source of the funds. But the attempt alone led to the police raiding the property that Wen and Qian were renting for about £17,000 per month. Inside that residence were digital wallets and keys, and the contents of which added up to around 61,250 Bitcoin. Even at the time of the seizure back in 2021, that was worth around £1.4 billion. But today, it's more like 5.1 billion. Wen was arrested and is now serving 6 years and 8 months in prison.
Meta's Twitter-like app Threads is closing in on X and could overtake it any day now. Data from web analytics firm SimilarWeb shows Threads is pulling in around 130 million active users daily. The growth is fueled by its Instagram link, which drives much of its traffic. Back in August, Threads said it hit 400 million monthly users. X still has strong desktop use, but on mobile, Threads is about to pull ahead. That's a major shift in the social media race. YouTube has agreed to settle a lawsuit over suspending Donald Trump's account. The video sharing platform will pay the president $24.5 million and give him back another stage to share his opinions. Trump has long claimed he was a victim of censorship after his account was pulled in 2021 following the Capitol Hill attack.
The funds will go to the president's setup for the White House ballroom, the 90,000 square foot White House ballroom, which is literally bigger than the White House itself. Previously, Donald Trump sued YouTube and its executives over suspending his account after the January 6th insurrection, where he blatantly spread inaccurate information. And well, now, just 9 months into his second term, Trump has secured a $24 million settlement from YouTube. More and more organizations continue to cave, and it is genuinely scary.
Legal scholars have said that there was no reason to settle this lawsuit legally, that they were likely doing it to curry favor with Donald Trump. As you know, Meta also settled a lawsuit, and I think they paid quite a bit more than Google, so maybe Google's getting off with less, but I think that it's absolutely terrible that these companies are bending the knee when they don't have to. They are powerful, and we saw what happened with ABC when people got word that ABC was giving in to Trump. ABC did settle a lawsuit as well, but this was about Jimmy Kimmel getting canceled. Maybe people will boycott Google now too.
And it's not just YouTube facing fallout over suspensions tied to politics. Disney is now feeling the sting too. Boycott calls against the streaming giant blew up online last month after ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel on September 17th. And now we're getting a sense of just how costly that backlash was. More than 1.7 million subscriptions were cancelled in just 7 days. That includes accounts across Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN. And it amounts to a 436% spike compared to Disney's normal weekly losses. The streaming giant saw roughly $6.4 billion wiped from its valuation. Kimmel was pulled off air after he criticized what he called the MAGA gang in the wake of right-wing influencer Charlie Kirk's assassination. The talk show returned a week later. Think self-driving cars always play by the rules? Think again. Police in San Bruno, California say they pulled over a Waymo with no one behind the wheel during a DUI crackdown. Officers say the car made an illegal U-turn right in front of them. They posted photos of the traffic stop online, calling it one of the strangest they have had. No ticket was issued, of course, as there was no driver. For those saying, well, that's not fair, starting next July, a new California law will let police fine the operators of driverless cars. But till then, this is what happens during stops like that.
Guys, you guys are pulling over the Waymo?
Yes.
Well, what happened? Is it speeding?
No, illegal left turn.
No way. That's crazy.
Yeah, so basically a representative comes on.
Uh-huh.
So you will talk to them and let them know what's going on, and they fix the issues on their end.
That is crazy.
Yeah, they've been acting illegally.
It made an illegal left turn. What's the worst ticket you ever gave Waymo?
I've never given a Waymo ticket.
Oh, what's the worst one you've heard of that they've got?
This is probably the worst I've seen.
Oh, illegal left turn?
Yeah. They tend to stop in red zones and pick up people and stuff. It just causes like a traffic delay and stuff. So I let them know.
Even our crystal ball says, woohoo! The Simpsons are heading back to the big screen. 20 years after the first movie and 37 seasons later, a new sequel is finally on the way. But we'll have to wait till 2027. Duh!
They're doing another Simpsons movie. Yes, breaking news that is extremely important to me. They're doing another Simpsons movie. I can't believe this is real. Woohoo! The Simpsons are coming to theaters with an all-new movie on July 23rd, 2027.
Matt Groening created The Simpsons as a series of short cartoons on The Tracy Ullman Show in 1987. Then it became its own series on Fox in December 1989, and in just a few years it would become a cultural phenomenon and television mainstay. But it didn't level up to the big screen until 2007 when Fox released The Simpsons movie. Made on a $75 million budget, it was a major hit, grossing $536.4 million at the box office, which has left many fans wondering why we never got a big screen sequel.
I'm a big fan of the first movie. I really love the first Simpsons movie. So the way they wrote the movie is that they assembled an all-star kind of Avengers of all the greatest living Simpsons writers to all pitch in jokes, and I wonder if they're going to do the same thing here. And if they do, this might be amazing. I really hope it is amazing. I've also just noticed that there are little twos on the donut as well, which is a nice little touch. I'm just a bit blown away. This is I'm so happy. This is crazy.
And that's our show. Find our latest stuff on YouTube and do subscribe to our channel. See you soon.